I studied government and politics at university. My business came out of a process.
Should we talk more about divorce as a problem?
They need emotional support, they need practical guidance. It's really quite hard.
The average cost of divorce is 14,000.
People just can't afford all the legal supports. Unaided, unguided, unsupported. They will bill you for every minute that you talk to them. 120,000 approximately divorces every year.
And what are the first steps they should do? Go to Pivot.
Of course, good.
Welcome to Let's Go Deep. My name is Moly and today I'm interviewing this beautiful lady, Nimrita Dadlani. She is a founder of Pivot, and today we'll be talking about divorce. And you must have watched our previous video with Nimrita when she shares her personal story, when she shares her advices and tips on how to manage your well-being, at the same time have 2 children and run her own startup.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So could you please tell us more about what's your background, what did you study, and why did you at the end come up with this idea?
What I studied is nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. I studied government and politics at university and Spanish as well. And this just really came out of a personal experience. So my business came out of a process where I saw that there was a need for a product that didn't exist.
So if you're curious about the personal experience that led to this business, you should watch the previous video. So should we talk more about divorce as a problem? Because Pivot is a platform that helps people who are going through divorce or who are divorced already, who are going through separation, to help them emotionally, mentally, like educating them, right?
Yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit about Pivot. So we are a holistic platform, the first holistic platform in the UK that supports people in a 360-degree manner. So people, going through divorce, they need emotional support, they need practical guidance, they need some legal information, and it's really quite hard to find all that information when you're, plunged into this situation, and people panic, they don't know where to go, they talk to friends, they talk to family, they look at Google, and really it's quite hard and very overwhelming to get the right information and to get accurate information. So we've created this platform, and on it you'll find resources, information. We have a platform of coaches and consultants, divorce coaches and divorce consultants, and breakup consultants, really, breakup coaches. And they're armed with all the tools. Many of them have been through it before. They're all fully accredited and trained in divorce coaching. And, they can tell you what to do, prepare you, arm you with information. When you start this process, it's really like you're at a cliff edge. You see you're in a place of trauma, and it's very hard to come through it. So we've created a platform with really everything that you need to guide you to having a smoother divorce, a smoother separation, better outcomes for yourself, your children, your finances, and your family.
Do you offer lawyers there as well, or consulting and coaching?
So many of our coaches, we have divorce consultants as well. Some of them have a family law background, and they can give you guidance in this area. And if you do need legal support, we can, we have partnerships with law firms, and we can pull them in as and when you need them.
Because as far as I know, lawyers are the most costly part of the divorce.
Yes. So when people think divorce, they think, oh, I have to go talk to a lawyer. But really, you don't need a lawyer to get divorced.
Really?
You don't need a lawyer.
That's a surprise.
Yeah, you could do it yourself as long as you have the right information. As long as you have the right resources, you can really, with assistance, you can go through it and do it yourself. Obviously, if it's a more complicated situation with assets and, potential, domestic abuse, the complications in the situation, safeguarding issues, anything like that. It is advisable to take legal support and legal advice. But we can assist clients and people using our platform and make sure that they choose the right support at the right time and they don't kind of use lawyers when they don't need to.
So is it like a membership platform or?
No, so it's you register and you can have a free call. It's a tech-enabled platform. So we have essentially what's a marketplace of coaches, consultants, and divorce professionals, which will then expand to other professionals. And you book a free call with any of the coaches or consultants that you like, and then you book. We have packages, so a process and planning package, a communication package, and a co-parenting package. You can choose one of our three initial packages or an assisted divorce package. And then if you need further support, you can add 1, 3, 5, 10 bolt-on sessions and just have ongoing support. So really it's all your divorce needs in one place. You've got holistic support, you've got practical guidance, you've got emotional support, and you've got all the information and you've got somebody who can hold your hand through the process.
You told me before this interview that average cost of divorce is £14,500.
£14,500 is the average cost of a divorce in the UK. And if you think that the average salary in the UK is £29,600 approximately, people just can't afford all the legal support. So that in turn has caused a problem with in the family justice system as a whole, where people can't really access the support that they need for this process. So the family courts are just filled with litigants in person, people who are doing it themselves, unaided, unguided, unsupported. And, people have to wait months, if not years, to get through the process.
I can imagine how difficult it is. Like you are emotionally deprived because you are going through separation. You have to be like mentally stable to do it the right way, and you have to be there for your children as well. And you don't have enough money to do it. So and how does Pivot help in terms of like, is it how much does it cost approximately?
So your first call is free, and then you have each of the packages to start with. You get guidance, a downloadable guide, resources, access to all our information, and it's £440 for the initial planning package. And then our individual sessions go from £125 to £250 per hour for one of the top tier experts on the platform. And that top tier expert might have will have a background in law, family law, or a professional background, and they'll be able to help you with the divorce process. And if you think about the cost of a solicitor, an average solicitor's cost is and a junior at that is £420. So you're really getting a much more holistic and all-encompassing service at a lower price point. So it's really optimizing your divorce spend, making sure you don't spend on snowballing legal fees.
Yes, exactly.
And kind of knowing what you're doing before you start the process, so that you really are quite strategic about what you're spending, how you're doing it, how you're protecting your family.
From listening story for the other people who've been to this process, I got an impression that lawyers are interested in extending the process for as long as possible, because of course they are getting paid every time, and as you have these emails back and forth. What do you think that it's also like it's very materialistic for them? Are they interested only in getting paid, or is there another reason for that?
I mean, I think that it's very, there are different lawyers. I had a wonderful experience with the lawyers that I used. I did have to use lawyers. I had a complicated situation. Every time they read an email, to receive an email, they'll charge you £25. So just to receive an email and look at it, they charge you for that. And lawyers charge in 6-minute increments. So they will bill you for every minute that you talk to them. The business model is about billable hours. You can't and you can't deny that. Now, of course, there are lawyers who are more litigious, who I wouldn't say encourage, but potentially go through that process more. But, often there are lots of wonderful, amazing, kind family lawyers that are out there. I would just find out about them before you go down that path. And that's where also, people need information, and, it's a very opaque system. You don't know anything about the process. You don't know about the lawyers. You don't know about the costs. It's just, very, unclear. So really it's about what we do is provide clarity at the beginning, middle, afterwards. And even if you need, even to thrive post-divorce, our coaches help with, every part of the process.
And what would you advise to people who are looking for lawyers? Okay, so if they decided to divorce, yes, and what are the numbers about that?
About how many divorces in the UK?
Yes, I know that's increasing.
Yeah, so there are 120,000 approximately divorces every year. 124,000, I think, on average the past few years. So, 250,000 people divorcing in the UK every year. So that's, and
1 in 42, I think?
42% of marriages end in divorce. And 3 out of 4 cohabiting couples separate. So, many people live together, probably more people that are married. So it's a growing market.
Yes,
sadly. But that's life. You go through relationships, right? So,
and what are the first steps they should do? Go to Pivot.
Of course, go. I think just find, get all the information that you can get, and before you, often when you start with lawyers and you go start that process, you want to start on the right footing. You want to start the conversation in the right way. And you don't want to start with a hostile attitude. You don't want to start, guns blazing, this is what I want to do. Or, you really need to come at it from a calmer, rational point of view. And obviously from a place of trauma, it's really hard to do that because you're probably, the reason you've come to this point of separation is because there's been a relationship breakdown. So it's really about dialing down the anxiety, dialing down the stress, providing people with information, allowing them to enter into a calm way, talk to a consult, talk to people, as many people as you can, really get the information and then make decisions, before you even take that step, think about how you're going to do it. Everything has to be a bit more, a bit calmer if possible. And it's very hard to do that alone. Your support system through this process is just so important.
But I think it's great that you are creating this type of community with Pivot, because I think divorce is one of the taboo topics you don't want to talk about, and going through divorce is like a failure to many people. Had a conversation with a friend of mine. He said that admit that you couldn't build your family. It was like a failure, and it was very hard for him to accept it, and even harder to admit it and talk to other people about it.
I obviously I don't think that divorce is a failure. I mean, I think that the origin of the word is from the Latin divertere. So that means to divert your course. So you're not failing. You're just, you've made a decision. You've come to a place at some point in time, what you were doing made sense. With the information you had at the time, being in this relationship with this person, it all made sense to you. It made you feel good. It made you, it was the right thing to do at some point. That changes. People change, relationship changes. If, it takes a lot of work to maintain a marriage, a relationship. And this is just, if it doesn't work out, it's a change of course. You have to just correct your course, get back on track, and,
Yes, it's to change your mindset.
Yeah.
Yes, it's starting a new life.
And, these are just chapters in our lives. Anything that you go through, if it's hard, if it's difficult, it's just a chapter. There's another chapter in your book. That's all that it is.
Yes. So change your mindset, talk to as many people as possible. If you don't have these type of people in your community, you can find the support through Pivot's community. Yes. What's next? What would you recommend to do next?
Find the information, come to us, read as much as you can. How you address the information, how you address the issue with your partner is very important. Try to come at it from some kind of consensus as opposed to fighting, as opposed to a battle. Just try to. Nobody wants this process to go on longer than it should. So really, just try to be as rational and as constructive in the process as possible. It is an emotional time, but you have to be practical. You have to try to be practical. And, as I said, a support system is really important. Lean on people around you. Lean on your friends, your family. Exercise. Get out of your head a little bit. Take daily steps to calm yourself through the process.
Yes. So another friend of mine said that he was married for 1.5 years, but his divorce took him 5 years.
Yeah.
So he said, never again in my life I'm marrying somebody else. What do you think about that?
I think 83% of people who get divorced go on to remarry. So I think that you should get married again if you so wish. I just think handling your breakup is what you should change. How you handle the breakup and how you handle coming out of it, and how you start a new, how you end one part of your life and start a new part is what could change.
Okay, interesting. That you have to, I think, go through that trauma and make sure that chapter is closed in order to start another chapter. Yes, not to escape from one thing and to run to something else.
You have to process, right? And if you go through anything difficult in life, you have to, hard life is full of hard things. At some point in the other, divorce, bereavement, death, relationship issues. You will face challenges in life. You have to process those challenges. You have to, you have to consider your mental health through that, and you have to really, mentally be stable enough to go on to the next page. So that all takes work.
So, what are the most common mistakes people do when going through this process?
I think when you think divorce, you think law. And so, going into it too quickly, too combatively is a really common mistake. Starting the process without the right information, and just really not taking care of yourself through it, I think is hard for people. I think information, knowledge, the right support, spending too much on fees too quickly when you don't need to. Your lawyer is not your therapist. Your lawyer, you end up talking to your lawyer and complaining about something and how difficult it is and how you're sad and hard to rebuild your life. But your lawyer is not there to do that. They're there to. It's a very clear directive process. They tell you what to do, but really you need to be saying, okay, this is how I want to handle it. And that's where people make mistakes.
How do you think people should prepare? So nowadays having a prenup is very common, right? So do you believe that you have to, before going to the marriage, you have to plan your exit strategy like you do with your startups?
I don't think you should be planning an exit strategy, but I think that education is the most important thing before going into a marriage as well. And just being aware of what you're doing, really knowing the implications of what you're doing. So I think prenups are great because they educate you. You understand what's possible and what you have and what the other person has or what you might have in the future and the life that you want to build together. And I think it's really important from an educational point of view, and if it's about finances, then you need the financial education to know about what you're doing. So I think prenups are really important, and not so much about exit, but just about preparation
for marriage.
Yeah, I think you have to be prepared. You have to know what you're doing.
What would you advise? How should people prepare for the marriage?
I think that choosing your partner is your life partner is really the most important decision of your life. That's the person you're going to be spending the majority of your time with. And everything that they say that your personality and your character becomes very much, you absorb the qualities, characteristics of the 5 people closest to you. You are the company you keep. So if your partner loves to work out, you'll start working out more. If your partner loves to eat and enjoys food and wine, that's what you'll probably start doing. So I think that what I would say is just really be prepared and make sure that you're compatible. Make sure that you do enjoy the same things, or that you can live together and coexist and communicate.
And maybe think not about today, but do you have the same values? Do you have the same views on your future? For example, how many kids do you want? What are your views on their upbringing?
Yeah, I think, it's really important. And I think, honesty, authenticity, who you are, what your values are. Exactly. Do you want children? Do you want to go live in the countryside, with peace and quiet? Or do you like city life? All of these things. You just have to be open, honest, communicative, authentic. Just knowledge is power, really. So
yes. Like in the past, I think people used to, in my country especially, I'm from Kazakhstan, it was common to get married after 18, like years ago, 20 years ago. So I got married when I was 23. I just got to 23, and this was the right time. But I think these days everything is changing, and it's common to see someone getting married around 30. So what do you think about that? Like the age?
Yeah, I understand. So I'm Indian, and I come from, also I got married 20 years ago, about 17 years ago. So, and I was 25. Also, people get married quite young. And I think, you have to know yourself before you can really be with somebody else truly, unless you can grow together, which is beautiful. But I think it's really about how prepared you are as a person, not so much the age. It's just about, I know lots of people who did get married young and they're very happily married and have beautiful lives with their partners. I also know people who got married very young and they've gone like that. So, really it's more about
maturity.
Yeah, it's about yourself and whether you're ready for that. I wasn't ready at 25 to get married, that's for sure. So, and that was about emotional maturity. So
how do you think people should behave in order to help their children to go through this process?
I think that laying a strong foundation for your children and a strong emotional foundation is really important for how they then go on to behave in their relationships, right? So that, allowing them to see secure attachment styles is very important. Of course you can change attachment styles, but children will absorb very much what's around them. So, I think, role modeling is very important. And children do as they see. So that is, that's very important.
Yes. There are so many couples who say that, we are together just because of our children. And I think this is so traumatizing for the kids because they see two parents, they see two people who maybe don't love each other anymore. Maybe they hate each other, but they are stuck together for their children. And they see that it's normal. First. Second, they see that they are sacrificing their life for them and they have to they owe their parents something. And yes, I think that it's very important, not to do that. I think sometimes it's more important to be separated but happy than together but unhappy, and say that you're leaving for the kids together.
I fully agree. I think the worst thing for a child is to grow up in a toxic, dysfunctional environment. You might be fine on the surface and living together, coexisting, but, children can feel.
Of course.
They can feel, they can see, they know much more than you think they know. They absorb everything around them. They absorb energy, more importantly. And if there's negativity or negative energy or dysfunction or trauma or toxicity in that environment, that child will absorb that. So, it's really, really important, in my opinion, to protect your children through it, and if possible, remove them and yourself from a toxic situation.
So would you advise to talk to them first before filing for a divorce? Or
to the children? It's, if you're if you're in a marriage and you have children, it's always best to do this in a unified manner. No matter what's happening in your relationship, your children are there. They're both your children and your partner's children. It's really important, where possible, to be unified, talk to them together, reassure them, make sure that they, know that they're protected, that it's not their fault. That's really important, that this is something that's between, mommy and daddy, yes. And it's nothing to do with you, and this is just what we've decided, and we all love you, and we love you very much, and this is, the main message you want to convey, that it's if possible, but obviously there are so many complicated situations where you can't do that, instances of trauma, toxicity, domestic abuse, any kind of abuse in the home. So where possible, that's ideal, but often it's not. So in that situation, if it's not possible, do the best that you can do, really keep everybody safe and happy, and that's what do your best.
Yes, and I think it's very important, even if your relationship is not going well with your partner, to not to escalate it with your children, saying, you see how bad he is or she is. Yes, just to explain that this is his state now, but doesn't mean that he doesn't love you or she doesn't love you. Yeah, and he's still your parent.
Yeah, it's not, what's happening is not for your children to suffer through or experience. This is, something, this is an adult situation, right? And so it's really important to not involve the children in an adult relationship, and really just give them whatever information is necessary for them to know. The information given to your children is on a need-to-know basis. They don't need to know the intricacies of your relationship or what's gone on. They just need to know that they're happy, they're safe, they're protected. Consistency is key with children. It's very damaging to talk negatively about your partner to your children. I mean, we're all human beings. Occasionally it happens. But, it's really important to try to limit that, because it's highly damaging.
Yeah, because it's still their parent, and by denying and hating one of their parents, they will damage their future as well at some point by not accepting their part.
Well, in their parent, they see themselves, right? They are that person. They, they're half you, but half the other person. Yeah. So if you're going to say, oh, your father's like this, or he's like this, they will then, they can internalize that and think, oh, if he's like that, what am I like? Yeah. Will I do that? So it's really important to protect them and really their children, innocence. Where is it? You have to maintain their innocence as much as possible. It's very hard. Everything that I'm saying is really hard to do. It's really hard, but you have to constantly check in and really be very aware of the process. And it's hard to do that alone. I mean, I've done a lot of work to get here.
How many years or months did it take?
I've been seeking help and support, for 10 years. I was married in 2007. I got divorced separated in 2021. So 14 years. I think I started therapy in 2014. So 7 years into my marriage. And I was married for another 7. So 10 years.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Of course, yes. And to find this right balance, yes, when you said that you have to articulate what's happening because they feel it. Yeah. If you say everything is good, but they feel the energy, which is this is not right, and not to go too much into detail what's happening, if there's an infidelity or something.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to, it's important for children to identify what's going on. It's important for you to identify what's going on and then address it in the most rational, logical, calm manner possible.
So you said it took you 7 years to go through therapy, but not to separate. Do you think there is like a certain amount of time you should give your marriage a chance?
So that wasn't. I wasn't in 7 years of marriage counselling. That was maybe 6 months, but I think it just really depends. Sometimes it can be complicated because you've got children. Your lives can be very enmeshed. So it's very subjective. You didn't go into a marriage thinking that you're going to get a divorce. So it's also about what you can live with. How much you can live with, and how at what point does it become too much, and at what point is it I can't deal with this anymore, and it's not good for me, my mental health, my children, for anybody. So
okay, so what are the plans of Pivot?
Lots of plans. So we just we launched very recently. We are transactional, taking bookings, got lots of clients coming on board. We plan to expand the offering, and really there's so many things that we can do. There's so much support that people need. So establish the coaching and consulting process, and
so
just
what
really
are the most common supports that people need?
So people really need the information first. So they need to plan and understand the process. And with us, you have our introductory package, and from then on, you can kind of decide where your needs are. You start with the package, and then you have add on bundles of sessions, and your kind of professional who's working with you will guide you, and really they want to make this as smooth as possible for you without it taking forever. Start with the information and go through it as quickly, as efficiently, with as little stress and emotional overwhelm as possible. Start and then go through it.
Okay, we will leave all the links below under this video.
Thank you.
Are you fundraising now?
I am open to strategic angel investors coming on board at the moment. We'll start a seed round next year, so a larger fundraise. At the moment, we're always looking. If there are strategic angels who'd like to come on board, we'd love to talk to you, talk to them. So yeah.
So what is the ecosystem of building a startup in the UK?
I have found that when I started this process about a year and a half ago, and I had no startup experience. I had no knowledge of really what it takes, and it's very hard. And I found it really supportive in terms of all the female founder networks I'm part of, the founder groups. There's so much at your disposal. There are so many networks out there who are committed to helping female founders thrive and raise capital. I think there's a lot of information and support, but I think that there are inherent issues, systemic issues in fundraising and venture capital, where I think, what is the statistics? 2.4% of venture funding goes to female founders. So, or all female founding teams. So, it's hard. It's much harder, obviously, as a.
Why do you think?
Women naturally, you think we have to look after our homes, we have children, more often than not, the woman is the primary caregiver. So I think that there's just a systemic bias that people have around female founders, and whether they can really give it their all. And, the expectations are also different. So there's just an inherent bias. People are always encouraged to have a male founder as well, co-founder. And it's just all about presentation. It's a completely subjective process. There's
presentation in terms of how good are you at pitching?
Yeah, I think it's all a show, essentially. A lot of the time it's all how can you present this? A lot of the time as women, we're very honest. You'll find that men will happily just say, yeah, I can do it for sure, I'm great, it's no problem. And the woman will analyze it more and say, oh, but what about this and what about that? And we're honest. So I think that does not serve you well in this space.
Yes, there is even a statistic about that. The numbers are that women would not apply for certain jobs thinking that they are underqualified, even if they are overqualified.
Yeah.
But men apply if they're underqualified, thinking that they will be fine with it.
Yeah, we've just got to have more
confidence,
go-getter attitude.
Yes. Is there anything you faced with that, like that, because of you are a female founder?
I think that you have to prove yourself quite a lot more. And I think that, everybody's going to say no to you. Everybody's going to tell you can't do what you're trying to do. They will all say, it's hard, the market's not big enough, you can't do it. You just have to not listen and really do it anyway. That's
everyone is investors or your friends?
Oh, just, if you're fundraising, you'll hear 20 no's before you hear a yes, 100 no's. You'll hear many more no's and people telling you why it's not possible than the person who says, yes, I love your idea. It's great. Let's do this. Or I love your business, it depends what stage you're at. But I think that, you just have to, you have to be strong, disciplined, keep going, perseverance, resilience. They say that the most successful founders are not the smartest, not the people who have the best experience, they're the people who are, most persistent and most resilient, and the ones who can stay in the game the longest and who don't give up.
What do you think helps to stay in the game for longer?
It's all about your mindset. It's all about a positive mental attitude. It's all about thinking about, staying in the here and now and, thinking about today and not kind of catastrophizing or thinking about what you could have done or should have done or what might happen or what might not happen. You just have to every day put one step in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, and just keep going.
And we are talking more about being present and keep going in another interview. Do you want to add anything? Like, do you want to give any advice for people who are going through separation?
you have to go through it to get to the other side. It's challenging, it's really hard, but it's all, the journey is the journey, and you're there for a reason. You are where you're supposed to be. And, keep going, keep positive. And that's the only, that's all you can do. You have to do the best that you can with the information you have at the time you have it.
And 85, I think, 85% of people remarry. So don't worry, you won't be alone.
Yeah, it's not the end.
Exactly. Thank you very much for coming. And people can find you where, on Instagram or LinkedIn? What do you prefer?
I'm on LinkedIn under my own handle, Nimrita Dadlani. Our Instagram for Pivot.
Yes.
Thank you. Our Pivot Instagram is very active. So personal LinkedIn and Pivot's Instagram.
Amazing. Thank you for coming. And if you have any questions for Nimrita about divorce or not only, please leave your comment below, and we are happy to hear about you.
Thank you. Thanks, Moly.